Hey guys, this is going to be a different video from what you're used to. I got an email a while back from a student asking about the setup that I use for online teaching because they're interested in doing that as well at some stage. So apologies that it's taken so long to get around to making this video. It's going to be slightly different than all the normal curriculum music stuff things. It's a lot more sort of technical and hardware. So if there's anybody who's interested in, doing YouTube lives or an online music school or how to stream, how to use OBS, what are all the different pieces of equipment, hardware and software that you're going to want eventually. You're probably not going to get them all at once, but you're going to want some version of these over time. This is what this video is going to be all about. So I'm just going to share my screen and sort of walk you through what I use. And even at this point in time, there's a few things that are already out of date and have been superseded by upgrades or new versions of the cameras or something or other, but I'll let you know as we come through each stage of this if there's anything that you would probably want to upgrade or get the latest version of it. So I'll just share my screen just to show you guys. The very first thing you're going to need is a desk. Now, I know that's pretty obvious, but the desk that I use here, I got this from IKEA, this desk that everything's attached to. And the reason that I got it is that it can move up and down. Okay, that's very important when you're taking into consideration things like keyboards or the fact that you don't want to be sitting all the time. You may actually want to demonstrate things in a standing position. Very important for flute players or violin players. On guitarists as well, so you may want to consider getting a desk that at least has the capability of moving up and down. And this one, the Trotton table from IKEA, £179. It's absolutely brilliant and it completely blows every desk that I had before out of the water, and it's nice and big as well, 70 centimeters deep, 120 centimeters long. More than enough to put up 3 monitors and to attach things as well, and that's important. You want to get a table that actually is thin or thick enough to attach microphones and other things to it as well, lights and stuff. So you might need, clamps that can be attached to the desk. The desk that I had before this didn't allow for that because the lip wasn't big enough. I think the desk was made way before they had any considerations about streamers or online businesses or COVID or anything. So it's a very old-fashioned desk. Okay, so that's the first thing. Obviously, you're going to need a desk. The next thing you're going to need after that is your computer. So the computer that I'm using here is the iMac M1 from 2021. So it is a bit out of date already. Of course, the M4 is out. The M5 is out, I think, in a few different platforms. Not the iMac, but it is out, I think, for the MacBook Pro and things. So I'll probably upgrade to whatever the latest M chip is going to be when it's available for the iMac. Okay, so I prefer like having a big screen. I don't like using MacBooks and things like that. And the Mac Mini means we'd have to get a decent enough monitor to go with it. And then I'm always worried about having to connect monitors to other things that I've already got. And will it all work? I know what works already. So I'll always just upgrade to the latest version of the iMac. So everything's working fine at the moment, believe it or not. This is March 2026, and everything you're about to see works with the 2021 iMac. So obviously it should work with the more later versions. The only thing to watch out for, guys, for the iMac, as you can see here, I put a wee picture of what it involves as regards ports. It's only got the 4 ports, and out of those, 2 of them are Thunderbolt, and these are only Thunderbolt 3. Thunderbolt 5 is out now. So again, that's worth considering when you're putting in USB hubs or trying to connect on other monitors. They are going to need those Thunderbolt ports. The latest version of the iMacs, guys, I think all 4 are Thunderbolt ports, either Thunderbolt 4 or Thunderbolt 5. So, this may be a redundant point, but it's just if you guys, any of you guys out there who have the M1s, yeah, just watch out for where you're going to be putting your USB hubs and your monitors as well. Okay, so obviously then you're going to need to plug this guy in. So I've even included how many plugs you're going to need for all of these things. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need is the thing that I bought, one of the things I bought most recently is the Anker TB5 Thunderbolt 5. It's got 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports, I think, in it, or at least I think it does. Yeah, so there's one for the computer. You can see that it says computer. And then there's 2 other Thunderbolt 5s. So this is a beast of a thing, and the price tag will reflect that. It's 300 quid for a USB hub, and you need to plug this in because you're going to see how many things I use every single one of these ports, except the SD card at the side, which is on the other side of it, which I forgot to put a wee picture in to show you, but it does come with the SD slots as well. So this plugs in as well, of course, and the other port to this, or the other side to this, should connect to your computer. Now, it will come with a Thunderbolt 5 cable, which you absolutely need to use. Okay, so don't use any other cable. I've tried it with other cables that I bought off of Amazon and other places, and I couldn't tell you. I've had them for years. Some of them are Thunderbolt 4, some of them are Thunderbolt 3, and none of them worked. Okay, so it was only the Thunderbolt cable that came with this USB hub, and it plugs, of course, directly. I put it directly into the very first Thunderbolt 3 port. So it's a Thunderbolt 5 cable going into a Thunderbolt 3 port. I emailed them before I bought it to make sure that it does work, and yes, it does work, but it's serious overkill. This is meant to be able to connect to like 8K monitors and things, so connecting to a wee, iMac M1 is well within its capability. I was actually worried that it was going to be too old, that it doesn't go that far back, but it does actually. Okay, so that does work, obviously, because I'm using it right now. Okay, so after you've got that set up, what do you need? Well, the other thing that I've got here, guys, is the Dell P2422H. This is a 24-inch monitor. When I got it, I think it was about 175 quid. Obviously, this needs to be plugged in as well. The main reason I got this, guys, is because you can tilt this 90 degrees and have it as a portrait as well. I don't, but you can have it like that. And the neck of this goes up and down as well. So this goes up and down, and the monitor can spin 90 degrees. So it's very, very handy. And another really important thing is that it comes with USB 3 ports in it, which if you connect it to this USB hub, anything you connect into this monitor can connect to the hub and connect to your computer. That's how I get my keyboard, which I'll show you later on. That's how I get my keyboard to work with my computer. There is a slight delay, which you get very used to. It's nowhere near as bad as you might think. And it's only when you sort of disconnect from a YouTube video or from doing Zoom meetings or something that you realize, yeah, actually when I play the keyboard now, it's instant response, whereas before it was just the slightest delay. But it's so slight that, it doesn't put me off. The ones that I had before this were harder to get that delayed, to get rid of that delay. So yeah, some of the keyboards and equipment that I had before all this, the delay was very noticeable, but no longer. Okay, so there's the 2 monitors and my USB hub and my table. Those are like the foundation for everything else that's going to come. Okay, everything else is going to plug into either the monitor here, or my computer monitor, or the USB hub, and there's quite a few things, as you're going to see. Okay, so what's the first thing we should look at? Well, the very first thing that's going to plug into the USB hub is in fact your monitor, your second monitor. The first one, of course, is going to go into, now I can only use one of these guys. If I zoom in here, I'm using the HDMI port. Okay, there is another port there. I can't remember the name of it, but you'll get the specs for this. It'll be in the description. You can only use one of these 2 ports. HDMI, I think it's DP port down here. So I'm using the HDMI. And the other cable I'm using another cable from this computer to attach to one of the USB 5s here. Why is that? Why do I want to attach the monitor to this USB 5? It's because, as I said, there's going to be about 3 or 4 things that I'm going to be plugging into this monitor that I want to travel into this, and also to travel to the computer. So this HDMI port that I'm putting it into, that's just so I can, have two screens and share stuff from one screen to the other. That's all. Whereas this allows me to connect other devices to my second monitor and have them run into the main computer as well. So I need to take up two ports, one for the display and one for everything that's going to be connected to the second monitor. So yeah, you can see it's a bit of a complicated setup, but if it is worth it if you have loads of USB 3 things that you need to work off of your monitor, because as you can see from the Apple, they don't do that anymore. Everything's USB-Cs or Thunderbolt cables, so they're all Thunderbolt I think now. So you may want to be used still, like some of the USB cameras and microphones and other things, and even just chargers for, like stylus pencils and things, and connecting your iPad and other stuff. If you have an old iPad like I do, yeah, you're still going to be using USB 3s for quite a few things. So that's what this monitor is for, to help out with that. Okay, so that's the first thing that's going to go in to my USB hub. Let's look at sound. The microphone that I'm using, as you guys can probably see, is the Shure SM7B. Industry standards, been around for years. You can get the latest version of this. It's the Shure SM7DB. Okay, that's the one that will come with the preamp installed with the microphone itself. So you don't need to worry about a cloud lifter, which means that you don't need to have like boost to the sound. Okay, as you'll see when I bought this is connected to the Gator Framework Deluxe, this big rig here, and you can see it's a C clamp that's going to be clamping onto the desk. It's very important you have a desk that allows for this. This also comes with the XLR cable inside it, so one end of it attaches directly into the computer, and the other end is going to go into this cloud lifter preamp. Now, as I say, if you've got the latest version of the Shure SM7B, you will not need this preamp. The only thing is, it is about 130 quid more expensive, so you're not really saving anything, you just don't need an extra hardware. Okay, so I need to have this cloud lifter preamp in order to boost the signal from this Shure SM7B. So one end of this connects to the microphone and the other end goes into the preamp, and then I needed to get, of course, just any XLR cable, cheap wee XLR cable, and one end goes into the preamp and the other end is going to go into my audio interface. Now, the audio interface that I'm using, the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 3rd generation, the 4th generation is out. So again, this is out of date and this is out of date, but they still work, and there's vlog channels and podcasts, and really famous podcasters still use the Shure SM7B, and I've seen it being used by BBC journalists for their podcasts and everything. So it's not as if it may be superseded by other microphones, but the quality hasn't really dramatically increased or anything. It's just that they've just built the preamp into the microphone already, so you don't need to get something else, but you're going to be charged more for that. Okay, so it is already more expensive than this. I suppose it does save you having to get an extra cable, and you don't want too many cables lying around. As you'll see from my B-roll of what my setup looks like, you'll see the amount of cables all stuffed behind my setup and on either side of it as well. So the fewer cables, the better, of course. So yeah, this Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, this is what the first channel is where I plug this microphone into. And the second channel is where I plug in my guitars and my Irish Bouzouki. That goes into the second channel, and I activate that as an instrument channel. And also I can bump up the monitor in this and plug my headphones into it as well and get really good audio from it. And this connects to one of the USB-Cs on my computer. It doesn't need to go to the Thunderbolt. It's only an audio signal at the end of the day. You don't need to have... It's not sending, imagery, and it's not sending 50 different signals. It's just sending an audio signal or a couple of audio signals. So it's very basic stuff. In fact, this comes with 48 volts phantom power as well. So it can actually, boost your signal a wee bit, the power of your microphone a wee bit. So yeah, 150 quid. I'm not sure what it is today. Probably cheaper. So yeah, the 4th generation of this is out. So it's probably you know, a little bit more expensive than this as well. And one of the main differences is that they've put the cables for the XLR cables in the back, which actually makes sense, because when you see my setup, you'll see how one of my microphone cable for my Shure SMB7 is quite heavily bent as it comes out, and then it bends almost, you know, 180 degrees to go back behind the table. It doesn't really make sense to have these facing out. It always makes more sense to have them in the back, because you rarely will take your microphone out, but you'll be taking your guitar and your bouzouki. Well, I would be taking the cables out quite frequently to save on the battery power for the pickup. So yeah, it makes sense to put these in the back. And the 4th generation, of course, is going to come with more gain as well. So yeah, there's going to be, you know, better quality, slightly better quality, more gain, and slightly redesigned. So I would recommend, I don't even think you could get the 2i2 3rd generation. There's no point. Get the 4th generation, or whatever newest one is out by the time you see this video. Okay, so yep, that is the audio taken care of. I'm just going to zoom out a wee bit just to show you what we have so far. What's the next thing? Oh yes, of course, your headphones. So the headphones that I'm using here, guys, the Beyerdynamic DT770 Pro. This comes with quite a lot of high impedance, like 250 ohms, guys. So it's 80 quid headphones, but they are definitely worth it. It's like entry level for some of the serious headphones. So you are probably going to need like a preamp for this as well. So not only do I have a preamp for my microphone because it's so sensitive and needs extra boost, extra gain for it, I also need one for my headphones. Okay, so 250 ohms is probably a bit much, but that would probably be normal for a lot of professional music studios, recording studios. So yeah, the little preamp that I use for this is the Fosi Audio SK01. There's the SK02 as well, and it's actually the same price. Okay, so this little guy down here really does help increase what you're hearing back as well. So it doesn't really do anything for the sound that you're projecting out, but it definitely increases the quality of what you're hearing back. Okay, so one end of this goes into the Fosi Audio. Now the Fosi Audio preamp, one part of it will go into your normal headphone jack that comes with your audio interface. And if you don't have like expensive headphones that have a lot of impedance, you can just plug your headphones. I would assume you can plug your headphones directly into your audio interface. So any, you know, normal set of headphones will do. But if you're looking for something a bit more professional, then yeah, get the something like the Beyerdynamic, or, you know, a more expensive model or more expensive make. And this is a really good little preamp. So one end of it, as I say, goes into the audio interface, and the other end of it for power, it does come with a battery, but I don't want it to be using the battery all the time. I plug the other end of this into my USB hub. Okay, and that goes into the front. If I just zoom in a wee bit so you can see, that's meant to say, I think, 10 gigabytes, guys. There's other charges that I use there as well. We'll come to those later. But yeah, that's where I plug in my preamp for my headphones into the front there. And when I'm not using them, there's also a little headphone stand holder that just, you know, snaps onto the side of the table, which is kind of handy. This also is very good for the bottom of this, can maneuver around, as you can see in the picture. Okay, the clear look, you can maneuver the headphones out of the way. That's going to be quite important for my circumstances, because not only do I want the table to go up so I can fit my entire keyboard underneath it, but my keyboard's going to be sliding in and out quite frequently, and I don't want it banging off the headphones. I want them sort of bent out of the way. So having the clear look headphone stand holder actually solves that problem. Okay, so what have we got so far? Well, I think we've more or less covered the audio side of things. What about the visual? Okay, so this has changed recently. I'll show you what I used to use after all this, but what I use now is the Insta360 Pro Link 2. Okay, so that's I was 240 at the time of purchase. This is a game changer for me, guys, especially if you're a musician looking to do online teaching, because this comes with a little gimbal. This is actually not the right picture for it. This camera comes with a little gimbal that's able to move around, and you'll see it in my B-roll as well that I took them off of my phone. You'll see that it'll I have 2 of these, and both of them are able to, you know, do like almost like a 360 going round in one spot and also up and down, so they can really zoom in on part of your instrument that you're demonstrating. And for me, it would be, you know, right hand for hitting the strings and the left hand for holding the strings down on the bouzouki. And there's no camera that I would be comfortable with being this close to the computer that could see both of those things at the same time. I know the workaround for that for a lot of musicians and for a lot of teachers is to stand further away so that the camera can pick up your fingering on the left hand and your strumming on the right hand. But the problem is then that it's harder for the student to see exactly what you're doing, and it's harder for you to do the recording because you're now further away from your computer that you can't just easily press a button. The setup becomes a bit cumbersome. So I got 2 of these to solve that. And one of them, the more powerful one, the Pro version, goes in directly into the other Thunderbolt 3. So one Thunderbolt 3 is taking care of the entire USB hub, and the other one is devoted completely to just this USB camera. And it's really important that that goes into a Thunderbolt because it needs power to, you know, maneuver that little gimbal around. So it's not going to work in the other ports. A USB-C port doesn't get enough power. So if you have USB, or if you have Thunderbolt 4 or Thunderbolt 5, you probably don't have to worry too much about this. But for any of you guys out there who are trying to do this off of just USB-Cs, it's probably not going to work. Just be wary of it. If it does work, happy days. I found that when I plug this in, sometimes it works for a while and then just gives up. I'll get a wee message actually that says from the computer saying that one of your devices is asking for too much power, or it's not getting enough power, and you know, need to shut it off. So to prevent any overheating issues, I recommend that you just plug it into a Thunderbolt. Okay, so that's one. I've got another as well. That's the correct picture, by the way. That's what this one should look like as well. It should have, like, there's the wee sort of gimbal at the bottom. That should also have a little gimbal as well. This is the Insta360 Link 2. This isn't the Pro version, and I got this as a bargain at £145. I think it was like a New Year's sale or something, and within a couple of days it had gone back up to 200 quid. So it's probably close to that again, depending on when you're watching this video. Okay, so Insta360 Link 2, this is also taking one of the USB 5 ports at the back of my Anker hub here. So as you can see, it's plugging into the other one. Now, the reason why, again, it may seem like overkill, it is overkill just to plug a webcam into something that's, you know, Thunderbolt 5. It's because I'm just worried that this little guy is using a gimbal as well. So it uses quite a bit of power. It does need quite a bit of power to work from your computer. So I'm putting into something that I think is very powerful. And then that, remember, is going through this computer Thunderbolt 5 cable into the back of my computer. So there's quite a few things that are going to be sharing that line, and I wanted to make sure that this never goes off or has any issues with connectivity. So that's why I gave it this port. Okay, so it may be a little bit of an overkill, but I just wanted to be sure that it always works. And it is working. No issues of it so far. So if we continue on, that is the sort of 2 main cameras that I use. The other port, the last remaining port on the back of my computer, is actually just for a 5 terabyte hard drive. Okay, that's where all of my videos get stored into this thing. Okay, so that was 160 quid. It's probably, I don't know, probably less than that by the time this video comes out, or else you'll probably, for 160 quid, get maybe 8 terabytes or 10 terabytes or something. So at the moment, I use that for backing up my computer as well. Goes into time machine mode, and also I use it for saving all of my videos. Okay, so that's all 4 ports at the back of my computer used. One for the USB, one for the camera, the Pro camera, one for the audio interface, the Focusrite, the Scarlett, and one for the external hard drive. Okay, so there's nothing else I can plug into this computer now. That's it. Okay, everything's sort of taken care of. You could probably, if you need to put more, the thing to get rid of out of all of this is of course the external hard drive. Every so often you can just disconnect that and reconnect it when you need it. I kind of like having it just there on all the time. Like I have that connected 24/7. That is always there connected when I need to have access to the videos or anything. So yeah, that's kind of handy, I think, having that. Okay, what else do I have? Behind, you'll see this in the B-roll, behind all of this, I have the Pictron Live Broadcast Boom Arm. A bit of a long name, and I'm only using one thing out of it. I'm not using this, and I'm not using this. I am just using this arm here. And on the top of that arm, I've got connected a little camera, and this has actually gone way up to the top. Okay, so I have it, as you'll see in the B-roll, connected to the very top of this. And that then is connected to my little Logitech C922 Pro. That's what I started off teaching years ago, using that before COVID. And I thought that was high tech. And it's 54 quid. Compared to some of the stuff that I have spent money on. I used to use the little Sony ZV-E10, and I actually think the Insta360s are better. That Sony ZV-E10, I had nothing but issues with that. And you need a fake dummy battery with it, and it needs to be plugged in, and you have to watch the lens, and it wasn't able to move, and the menu system, as anyone who's owned a Sony camera will know, the menu system is just hell to use, whereas this is simple, plug in and play. Plug in and it works. And it's very, very quick, and I think the quality's brilliant. Oh, you guys can determine that. You can see it in use right now. Okay, so this is it being used. This is the quality of it. And if I was to show you when I'm doing Bouzouki, like the sort of two of them that I'd have operating at the same time. Okay, so you can see there's the bottom of my Shure. Okay, if I just move him out of the way. You see what I mean by having two? I can be strumming here, and also I can, on my little Stream Deck, I can focus in on different parts. See the way that's able to jump really quick? That's the same camera as what you're seeing right now, just zooming into one part of my instrument and then the next part up here. So if I was doing like, this, you can see what I mean, but it would need to be so far back in order for a student to see exactly which string I'm striking with my right hand, to see what strings I'm holding down with my left hand. And that's all from those two cameras. Okay, so if I just go back and then just back to normal mode. There we go. Take this off, and of course this would be plugged in as well. This comes with little pickup, and that's plugged into the other side of that is plugged into the Focusrite, the second channel. So let's have a wee look, see if we go back to desktop, just so I can show you a bit more of this boom arm. The Logitech at the top of this, that's just pointed straight down. Okay, so it's coming out and then just sort of at a 90-degree angle, just pointing straight down towards my keyboard. So any of you guys who've seen my videos of me playing keyboard, that's the little camera that's using that. It doesn't need to be high quality for this, as long as you have plenty of lighting, so that the keys light up. Sometimes it's hard to get the keys to align properly with the software that I use, which we'll look at it in another video. But it's still the decent enough wee camera, as long as you remember to go into the program and make sure that 1080p is activated. I think it comes as 720 by default, and that's nowhere near good enough to, in some of the lighting that I use, to pick up as much of the piano as possible. So that's the little camera that I use for that. And the other end of that is just connected to one of the USB 3s at the back here, 10 gigabytes per second. Okay, so that's just, doesn't need much. Okay, so the other two cameras are connected to Thunderbolt connections. One to the Thunderbolt 5, the other one's connected directly to Thunderbolt 3. But that little Logitech Pro, it doesn't do much really, so you can just connect that directly into a USB 3. Okay, so what next? Let's zoom out. You can see that we're filling up this up quite quickly. Okay, yes, of course, the power banks. Now, in this B-roll, you'll see exactly what these are connected to. They're connected to the lights behind me. You see there's one light here and there's another light over here, and they come with batteries as well that last about 2 hours, but sometimes my streaming can go on for 3 or 4 hours, or I'd be teaching all day, one student after another, so I need those things to maybe last about 6-7 hours before the battery gives out. So those USB-C power banks, they connect to the 2 power ports in the USB hub here. I think that's 45 watts total power. Okay, so they charge up pretty quickly when I'm not using them, so I can just connect them into that and let them charge away. I bought 2 of them from Belkin, so yeah, they're pretty good. So the ports that you see in the middle of each of those are the ports that connect USB-C to USB-C. The other ones are USB 3, or these are the normal USBs for the lights. That's what they would connect to run their power off. Okay, so this does not give out power. This is the port that actually takes power, okay, to charge up the power bank. So don't buy these thinking that you can use that middle port, that USB-C, as a power giver. It's a power receiver. Okay, so you use those middle ports to charge the device itself, and then the outer ports are what you use to give power out to your devices. Okay, so be careful of that. 28 quid each, probably cheaper now, I don't know, or else you can get like 20k powers, probably ones that are far more powerful than that go on for, you can get like 10-20 hours of power from them, but they're enough for me. Okay, so those are my power banks. Is there anything yet that I've still left over? I think I have one more port left over, and I think that is for my Stream Deck. You can see that everything else is sort of taken up at this point. Okay, let's zoom out a wee bit more. Yeah, Stream Deck's the last one. Okay, if you are serious about not just streaming, but developing videos like this, or just doing online teaching, or having an online business where you're delivering videos, you are going to need a Stream Deck. And you may not need the XL version here, where this is the one I have, with it just has a lot of buttons, and you can program it to go into another page and another page and another page, so you could technically have dozens and dozens more buttons than this. You may not need that. Okay, but you are going to need to do things like being able to switch very quickly between one scene like I just done there into the full version, or switching back over to this version, or as we did earlier, switching over to Bouzouki and be able to zero in on different parts. If I was holding my Bouzouki, you'd be seeing it. So you are going to need to be able to jump around pretty quickly, or even just to refocus the camera to yourself, open up apps, open up websites, play sounds, zoom in, zoom out. What else can you do with it? So many things. Open up programs. I use it for opening up OBS, or opening up piano programs, and being able to demonstrate things to students. So this has been a lifesaver when it comes to using software, which we'll look at in another video. But you are going to need this hardware. You're going to need this at some stage, or something like it. Maybe the smallest version of it would do if you only need like 6 or 7 things that you use. But because I have so many programs and things open simultaneously, like I could be streaming and have OBS open, in which I need right off the bat, I would need about 10 things when I'm doing that, and maybe using 3 or 4 programs as well, and I would need to be using my Stream Deck, because it kills the flow. If you're teaching live, especially if it's a YouTube live or something, and you have people watching you, if you have to pause every couple of minutes to open something up and there's dead air, and then open it up and explain it to them, and then close it down and then open something else up, that just kills the flow, and it can leave people a wee bit bored, and you need to be sort of engaging as much as possible. So this really does make your broadcasts and your videos a lot smoother. Now of course, if you are just doing videos for online courses, and you're not really doing anything live for teaching, then you may not need the Elgato Stream Deck, because you can do all of this in post. But it just means you have more work to do, editing and getting rid of those bits in your videos which are a bit slow. So yeah, I would still recommend getting it, guys. It's amazing. You don't think you need it, and then when you do get it and you realize how fast and how easy it is to set up, it's super easy. I didn't need to open up any help documents or anything, or go online or look up any YouTube videos. It was literally just as simple as drop and drag commands for each button, you know. And you can actually do things where you can I haven't gone this far, where you can press a button and it opens up everything. I've seen YouTube videos of people with their Stream Decks and they press one button and it opens up their monitor, it opens up their website, the lights go on, you know, their camera, or their camera and their microphone all gets activated just from pressing one button. So you don't need to go that far with it, but it just shows you the power that's capable of this, and their brilliant Wii systems. So it's taking up the last port on this USB hub, this Anker USB hub, the 10 gigabits per second, okay, along with the other camera, the C922 Pro. Okay, they're both plugged into the back. You can see why I needed this Anker USB hub, because yes, it's expensive, it's 300 quid, but everything feeds off that. There's a reason why I put it in the center here, because it connects to everything and everything connects to it. It's how all my different pieces of hardware talk to each other. And it's so important to have something that's A, reliable, B, that's easy to work, and in my case, see, everything that you see is different ages. Like some things are, you know, 5-6 years, like the 2021 M1 iMac and the Elgato Stream Deck are, you know, 5 years apart, and the Insta360 Pro, I think that only came out late 2025 and this is early 2026. So again, that's pretty new as well. So the newest things that you guys see here are the Insta360s that are at the most a year old, the Elgato Stream Deck same, and the Anker, that's probably only half a year old. This is March 2026, and I think that's about it. Everything else, like XLR cables, have go back decades. The Shure SMB7 goes back many years. The Focusrite, the 3rd generation, goes back many years. So yeah, as does the Dell monitor here. So they're all different ages, they're all different makes and models, and, you know, different things, different companies. They all need to work together. So you need to get something that is reliable and just works without you having to worry about. That was the thing I was worried about with this, is that will all these things work? It only takes 1 or 2 things not to work for you to think, is it worth my time buying this if I have to, you know, rethink about my setup for making piano videos because this little Logitech C922 Pro 54-pound camera does not work with an Anker USB hub? Do I now need to get another webcam and hope that it works? And it needs to work with a USB 3 because the other ports are taken up. So it becomes a bit of a nightmare, you know, in your head, just trying to get everything organized. And this took years of me trial and error of things over time. If you look at any of my old YouTube videos, their sound is awful, or the video is awful, or they're both awful. And some people may say the same thing now, but at least the stuff that I have now is much easier to use, and it's easier to get videos made, and it's anything that makes your life easier. Okay, so it's definitely not something to you know, be cheap about a USB hub like this. So do your research and make sure you have everything that you want to use, and make sure you get enough ports. That's the one thing maybe I didn't really take into consideration, is I think now I'm using everything. I don't think if I wanted to get another thing, if I wanted a 3rd camera, I can use actually my my mobile that's connected to this Dell. That's what I used to do, use my mobile. That was plugged into the Dell, and because I've got the Dell plugged in here, anything that's plugged into my Dell, and because my Dell is plugged into the Thunderbolt 5 at the back, I can use all that stuff to talk to my main computer. So I had my mobile plugged into the Dell's plugged into the back of the USB hub, and the USB hub is plugged into the back of my M1 Mac. So my phone was able to be used as another webcam. So yeah, again, this is why you have to be sure that you get everything right first time. Okay, what's next? Oh yes, my keyboard. So I'm using, you probably don't need this if you're, any sort of MIDI keyboard would do, guys. This is overkill. Yamaha P515. It's not the newest version, but it was for a while, like their sort of their elite digital pianos. There's in their series of digital pianos. There's about 2 or 3 generations above this now. I think this was 1600 or 1500 when I bought it, and it's probably even hasn't really gone down much in price. So it's about 15 or 1600 now, and that beast of a thing needs to connect to the back of my Dell. And as I was saying, because I've got the Dell plugged into the USB hub, my piano talks to the Dell monitor talks to the USB hub, and the USB hub talks to the back of the computer. So I could have, well, actually I'll just show you guys. If I just come out of this for a second, zoom out, and just activate, yeah, Classroom Maestro. If I start playing on my keyboard, so you guys can see that's, I'm pressing it now. It's very, very quick. Okay, so it's only sending, you know, digital MIDI information, and it goes very, very quick between my piano to the monitor, from the monitor to the USB hub, and the USB hub to the computer, so you guys can see it right now. That's me playing. Okay, so this is one of the apps that I use, which I'll look at in another video for any of you guys who are sort of more interested in the music side of things, or what do you do if you're trying to set up online music teaching. We'll look at Music Maestro as part of that video. I'll just get it out of the way for now and just go back to my presentation. Okay, so yeah, with the table to the monitor to the USB hub to the second monitor, everything connecting. Shure SMB7 to the Gator Framework Deluxe to the preamp, Cloudlifter preamp, to the cable that connects to my audio interface. It connects to the back of the computer. The headphones with a lot of impedance needs to go into another preamp. One side of that preamp goes to, the cables come with it, by the way. I should have said that earlier. All the cables you need for this little preamp come with it. So one cable will naturally connect to your audio interface, and the other one, if you wanted to use the power, if you don't have this plugged in here, then you're using the battery of this, which you'll need to charge, and you could probably do that off one of the power banks if you wanted to, but I just have it plugged into here all the time, just so that it continuously keeps a proper charge going. Then I use the 360 going into the back of my computer for the other Thunderbolt port. I use the other 360 to go into the Thunderbolt 5 of my USB hub. I've also connected a portable hard drive, 5 terabytes worth. I've also connected a boom arm, which has the Logitech C922, the sort of old standard that's been there for years. That's connected to the back as well of my USB hub. And I've also got 2 little connections to 2 power banks that connect or power all the lights that you see behind me here. Every single light there, even the one on the ground. That's a wee USB light as well, and the one that's in the corner too. They're all connected off. 2 of them are connected to this one, and the 2 that are on the bookshelves are connected to the other one. I've also got the Elgato Stream Deck that's connected into the remaining port at the back, and that's about it. I've run out of ports, so now everything's got to go through the Dell. And the first one that will go through that would be my Yamaha. I've also got my iPad that runs through it, and my phone that runs through it, and also a little stylus charger for when I'm using the iPad stylus that goes through. So I've got 4 things connected to this monitor, the monitor powers those 4 things, charges them, and also sends the signal to the computer. It doesn't obviously charge this piano. This piano requires that you plug it in. Okay, so this is a beast of a thing. It requires a lot of power. The good thing about it is, guys, this Yamaha also comes with like lots of little goodies for speaker systems and stuff. So you have Bluetooth on it. So if you want to use the speakers out of this instead of out of your monitor, they're very, very powerful. It's maybe about twice, maybe 3 times the power that you get from full volume out of this little iMac. Because this is a stage digital piano, it's meant to be like on stage and project as much sound as a proper upright piano. So it'd be used like in a, you know, small concert hall or something. Not concert hall, small concert, like gymnasium or something, you know, like in a school. So it's meant to be, you know, quite powerful with that. And you can plug more speakers into it too, to get serious power from it if you want to use it on stage. The BQ Cosfin Z-style keyboard stand. Yeah, so you can see the sort of why it's called the Z-stand, keyboard stand. The Z-style keyboard stand is quite a heavy thing. It's 70 quid, but it's well worth it to hold up this thing, which is very heavy. And this goes under the table, so you can see now why I needed a table that could go up and down, because you want to be able to slide your keyboard in and out easily. And this table goes from 72 centimeters to 122 centimeters tall, and this is somewhere in the middle at the moment, so it needs to be maneuverable in order to accommodate this thing going underneath it, which you'll see in the B-roll. You'll see my keyboard where it is. It'll roll underneath in and out of this quite easily, and this is the distance between these legs is perfect for this stand and this keyboard to be on top. This goes right in perfectly. You'd almost think the two of them were made for each other. So be sure of your measurements, in other words. So this is plugged into a different extension cable. I didn't want to plug it into the same one here. This is going to be taken by something else. I didn't want to plug it into this because at the moment I've got the 2 monitors and the USB hub that are taking the power from here. And they're quite power heavy, and I didn't want to plug in my keyboard as well, which requires quite a bit of power. So I wanted to plug it into a different extension cable just for safety reasons. Okay, so that's one reason. The other thing as well, you'll see it in the B-roll, is a little lamp, and that was only under 26 quid. Comes with a wee remote. It's a brilliant RGB LED bar light, and it lights up the background, as you guys can see here. And here is the remote that comes with it, and you can change the background to, you know, whatever colors. That's green, red, blue, and there's a whole host of other colors. Whatever you want. So great wee, you know, can't beat that for 26 quid. I've had that for months now and had lots of fun with it. So great wee light. That just plugs into there. Not connected to anything else, it's a piece of hardware. It's actually designed to be outside, you know, so you can use it for, for St. Patrick's Day celebrations, Christmas, Halloween, whatever, and light up your house if you want. Yeah, so something to think about. Okay, what's plugged into the other sockets here? Well, on one side, you guys will see this in the B-roll as well. I've got these lights. Now, you can get any sort of style of lights to go here, guys. I got the Andor softbox lighting kit, 2800k to 5700k, 62 quid for 2 lights. Comes with a bag, comes with the lights, comes with 2 remote controls, and comes with the ability to change your lighting, soft, warm, cold, and white. I've kept it on one setting the whole way through. It's quite kind of cold at the moment, or white at the moment, but here it is on warm. Whoa, that's 50%, 20%. So 20% is probably all that I need. Warm, there's cold at 20%, and there's white at 20%. So 50%, 100%. That's one light. Okay, there's another one as well that if you wanted, I don't know why you would want it that bright. Wow. So I'm just gonna put it back. Keep it warm for now. So I have one on one side and one on the other. I don't even need the other one on the other side anymore, so it may look like I've got 4 in this picture, but this is just the same image, just reversed here, just to let you know this is the same. Like one light, it's not 4 lights. One of them is plugged in on this extension cable, and the other one is plugged in on this extension cable. The great lights, great price, they work perfect, no issues whatsoever, except this issue. the cord from them is ridiculously short. You need to have this at the foot. Your extension cable needs to be at the bottom of these lights. You see that little cord cable there? That is, I don't know, that is deceptively long looking, and it is nowhere near that long looking. Like it barely gets to the ground and then maybe a foot or two. So unless you're very close to plugs in the wall or an extension cable, be careful of these things. Okay, you do need to have your extension cable very close by, and you'll be surprised how that affects everything else. Like, what are you going to plug into if this extension cable needs to be nearby these lights, you can't move it then. So all of these other things need to be able to stretch to this extension cable, so you can't have these lights too far away. You know, it's not as if you could have it on the other side of the room, or you know, these things are literally hanging over me. As you'll see from the B-roll, they're very close. So be careful that you get lights that have a decent enough cable length, or at least that you're able to get, you know, extension cables to those lights. Okay, last thing, guys. The Turbox. This guy in the Turbox Elite Plus, worth every penny. Again, people might think that's really expensive just for something that helps, but this helps with audio, video, editing, changing things over, deleting things, your entire workflow. If I didn't have this, if you go onto Turbox website, you'll see the thousands of different things this can be used for. This is almost, I would say, as important as your Elgato Stream Deck. This is for on the go when you're doing stuff live. This is for, maybe you could think of it this way, as this is for editing. So for live and for editing, you combine those two things and your entire workflow gets easier, your life gets easier. I'm using these two things. There's so many other things you can do, like, you know, edit, delete, copy, paste when you're using Logic Pro or Final Cut Pro. You know, being able to sort of edit on the fly and zoom in and out very, very quickly into things, whereas before you'd have to sort of go and find the right, you know, menu button and select the right thing underneath it, and then having to, you know, use your mouse to hold something and, you know, click and hold and drag. All of that is gone by using this. All these buttons that come with this are just incredible, the way that it works. So I would highly recommend checking this out. It is so versatile, the number of things you can do with it. Okay, so that is my setup as it is right now, guys. Okay, that's everything that I use, all my hardware, what you see there, it's all in front of me right now, everything. Okay, this is the older version. More or less the same, as you guys can see, but look at the wee USB hub that I had for 20 quid. It's still, I was able to get everything working off of it, but just wasn't, I had one webcam going in here. I needed another webcam, you know, as I realized looking at my videos that students were finding it hard to sort of follow what my hands are doing. So I needed another webcam, which meant I needed to finally upgrade this, which meant I needed to finally, you know, get something proper as well. Also, the webcam I was using over here, the Sony ZV-E10, the second version of that is out. I just found it, guys, that all the little things that, you know, require to work, there's just too many things. First of all, you need a dummy battery in order to get it to work all the time. You don't want to be using the battery that it comes with, otherwise you need to charge it like every couple of hours. As I said, if you're trying to do a live stream, you're going to need a dummy battery, or if you're working for, you know, 6 to 8 hours a day teaching, you know, you're going to need to have a camera that's on all the time. Then I needed to have that connected to a HDMI to HDMI cable, which then connects to the Elgato 4K Cam Link, which, you know, for some reason, are they ever going to release, you know, a Thunderbolt version of this or a USB-C version of it? So it's still USB 3, and then that was connected to the little USB hub that I was using before. Okay, so you can see that this whole setup was replaced with just this. Okay, so I think that's better because it comes with a gimbal that can move. Okay, whereas this is stationary, and all the peripheries and all the little things that connect into it that you need to work as well, just a pain. Everything else was the same. So I got rid of this, and I got rid of this, and I got myself instead another Insta360, and I finally upgraded to a proper. That was one of the last things I got, guys, over the last few months, was a proper USB hub, and definitely worth it. It's also future-proofs you as well, because at some stage Thunderbolt 5s are going to be the norm. I'm still using Thunderbolt 3s off of this M1. I'm not even at Thunderbolt 4, so Thunderbolt 5s are out now, but they're not the standard yet, and they will be over the next year or two. And by the time I upgrade to the iMac M, probably the M5 or maybe even the M6, by the time they get around to releasing this for the iMac, I'm gonna need something that's going to be capable of talking to all of these older pieces of hardware, and this seems to be the thing that's future-proofed all of that. Okay, so that's one of the best buys. I was a wee bit reluctant and worried about buying it, but I'm so glad that I did. It really has helped in so many ways. Okay. So guys, that is the end of this part of behind the scenes. Okay, so this is just the hardware. There will be another video for the software. Okay, all the different things that I use on my computer to get up and running. So I'll be looking at things like OBS, Sketch Wow, Classroom Maestro, Fission, all the Rogue Amoeba stuff, the company that makes all of these programs. There's going to be a whole video devoted to that as well, so keep an eye out for that. If you have any questions about any of the hardware that I showed you today, do let me know. Post in the comments. I'm usually quite good at getting back to people quick enough. I'm not the world's greatest expert. I'm not a qualified sound engineer, or I don't have like 10 million people following me on YouTube, to say that I'm a YouTuber who knows all the equipment and everything. These are just the things that have worked for me. So I consider myself sort of an amateur, semi-professional amateur at this point in the hardware and software stuff. But I do use it in my professional business very well, I think, for delivering online courses and online teaching and streaming on YouTube. So it works very well for me. And if you have any questions about any of it, do let me know, and I'll see you again next time.